All right. Hello, wine drinking people. We're back for the last portion of our show today, Tuesday, May 18th. That's right. I did a lot of drinking, and I can't even mention the wine that I had in my house on Sunday, which we had the staff over for a slider party. I mean, the 2006 J.J. Prum Spat Lace, outstanding. Another bottle of 2007 Brutal Colon Chassagne Montrachet Maltois. I kept both of those wines decanted for 2 hours before we even put them back in the bottle and chilled them down. Much better. Great whites need to be decanted just like great reds. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the wines we had in my house, like 16 wines. So let's just get right on to what I drank yesterday in the store. We only had 2 suppliers stop by in the store yesterday, and we had Anthony from the Florida Wine Company, and Anthony brought by some young punk winemaker from Australia. I'm sorry, that's the name of the winery, some young punks. But this guy was actually very pleasant, and he had doctorates in yeast evolution or some boring fermentation science subject like that, but seemed to make some very interesting wines, the Riesling being the best of the 3. Usually I don't like these wines with like cartoon character labels, and this one was When Monsters Attack, and had this monster and attacking. It was like a cartoon comic strip label, and you know, I would like to think we're more about substance here, what's in the bottle, as opposed to what's on the label. It's nice, though, when you get both. When you get a producer that can make great wine and has got interesting packaging. And I think these wines are very interesting. The Misfits, Malbec Shiraz, and the other wine, the Some Young Punks, the Squid's Fist, which is Sangiovese and Shiraz. Kind of interesting blends. I'm not a huge fan of Sangiovese from Australia. I'm not a huge fan of Malbec from Australia. But kind of interesting wine. Check out the reviews on those. And then one of the best tastings that I've had this year. We had Italian wine expert Renato from Neil Empson stop in, and wow, let me tell you, you forget sometimes how great some importers are. Neil Empson, one of the top importers of small family producers coming out of Italy today. Some stunning wines. The Conti Costanti Brunello 2004 for a traditional style Brunello. This is one of the best 2004 Brunellos that I've had. The Poggio Antico Brunello Riserva 04. You've heard me mention this before. 04 is an incredible vintage in Montalcino. You want to own the Reservas from 04 if you like Italian wines. I'm highly suggesting these, even though they're not here. If you want them, to let us know, because these wines are coming in the fall and there's not going to be a lot of them to go around. Podevig Colla Barbaresco Roncaglie. This wine, incredible 07 vintage, one of the first 07s that I've had. More of an elegant and understated style, but very pretty. Many layers of nuance and flavors in this wine, and a lovely spice on the finish. Very long and very fresh. And then a producer I haven't had too much wine from, but Caroma, their wines, outstanding also. Another 2007. And then on to Marcarini, a producer that I have had in the store before, the Brunate from them. An excellent wine, and still a very good value at under $60 a bottle. This producer also a very old school producer, using large Slavonian oak casks instead of small barrique. Casino Bon Giovanni, a new producer for me, but very good. And then another Caroma wine. And then Luigi Einaudi, this Barolo Costa Grimaldi, outstanding. Man, as I mentioned, it seemed like one wine just keep getting better than the next with this lineup. And there was 10 of them. And to finish off, well, the last one I'm going to talk about, the Conterno Fantino Barolo Sori Ginestra. Wow, this wine, killer, one of the best wines that I've had from 06 thus far. Just a complex bouquet of fresh rose petals, black spice, red cherry liqueur-like fruit, an incredible concentration on the tongue, lovely velvetiness, lovely silkiness. One of the things that I love about the Nebbiolo variety, the spice, and then the texture it gives you on your tongue. And this wine is new barrique, so you do get some of those wood tannins. Okay, I'm not going to mention the Langhe Rosso because it had Cabernet Merlot in it, and we don't go to the Piedmont for Cabernet Merlot. But if you like that kind of thing, you can look at that review. Last but not least, yesterday, we had one of our old friends, Sue Haley, stop by from Steakhole. Steakhole has just picked up Bonny Doon's wines. Well, I shouldn't say Bonny Doon's wine, because this is a company that, they sold off their Cardinals Inn, and then they sold off the big house portion of the company. Randall Graham has kept his label Bonny Doon, which he makes Le Cigar Volant under, one of his first and one of the most famous wines. And he's also kept the Riesling brand, which is on fire. I can't believe they're making 100,000 cases of this Riesling now, and they moved that up to Washington State, but stunning wines. Those are sold through Southern, not through Stakehold. It's a much bigger brand, a much more broad market. But these wines from Randall, always interesting. And here's a case where we have very interesting wines and remarkable packaging. Randall's famous for his packaging. The Cattle Solo label, focusing now on Albarino and Muscat. Some very interesting varietals. One thing you can always count on Randall doing is putting out something that is very typical of that varietal, rather than trying to muck it up with oak or with the winemaker's hand. Both of these wines very fresh, very bright, very typical of their varietals. And then we move on to his big boys, the Les Cigars Volant Blanc, a blend of Grenache Blanc and Roussanne, lovely honeysuckle, lychee nuts, and then some white floral notes, a hint of that beeswax vineyard. Maybe that's why they call it that. A little pineapple and citrus fruit. Very nice, a lovely texture on the tongue, smooth and creamy, with just a touch of white pepper spice and lovely perfume floral notes for the finish. Then on to the big boy, the Les Cigars, this is the Vingrita cigar, his rosé. This was the first wine that Randall made. A really fun wine, really nice, light strawberry, raspberry fruit, very clean, lovely floral notes. A perfect wine for out at the pool on a summer day. Then we move on to his Syrah, which is nice. Syrah kind of hasn't caught on the way that a lot of people thought it would, and this one a little expensive for what it is, although Bonny Doon has always been focused on value. For some reason, they've lost their focus with this wine. Okay, and then the Cigar Volant, the big wine, which is about the same price as the Syrah, which is why I'm not saying that that's a great value. This wine is lovely, a similar blend to what they do in Red Chateauneuf de Pape. The Cigar Volant, the Flying Saucer. This is a play on some French law that they have in the Rhone Valley where flying saucers are not allowed to land in the vineyard. This is actually a law that they have in France, and Randall is one of these guys that loves to take these odd things and bring them to light. But a very rustic wine, similar to a wine bouquet you'd find from Chateauneuf de Pape. A little bit of that garrigue, that fresh floral and herbal notes, some nice tobacco, and a little bit of what the French call sauvage, that animal note you get from Mourvedre. Okay, lovely cherry and plum fruit in this one. Very complex wine on the palate. Big tannins, but smooth and round. A very nice earthy note to the finish. A little dark cocoa and that leather animal note again. Les Cigars Volant 06. Randall Graham, once again, outstanding. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you today. I'm your host, Andrew Lamposone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.